after my trade was done, it was hard for me not to go back, as many traders do, and think, did I miss out on the market? Did I actually lose money by not staying in this trade? Why is there lingering of dissatisfaction, confusion, and just not being happy with the amount of money I made? I was successful, but for some reason, it doesn't seem great. This is why throughout the day, thinking about it, this quote from American Gangster came to mind. Ladies and gentlemen, as traders, we often experience moments where we are not satisfied. And this trade is one of them where I ended up making a profit, albeit a small one, but the market gave me something that didn't really match my expectation. It didn't match what I used to make, what I've made this week. And I invite you to be with me on this video to check those emotions and cultivate a spirit of gratitude. This is Gerard Beaubrun from Just One Good Trade. Thank you for watching, and I know you are going to have a wonderful time learning and possibly being entertained by me. Recently, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and we talked about stop loss. And it seems to me that in my conversation with him, that he hinted that most people should have a hard stop loss. I don't have a hard stop loss. I don't usually use that. I use a visual stop loss, which you've probably seen in my previous trading. But then his conversation prompted me to realize, okay, so what is the most you will take? What is the most that your strategy will take before saying this is not a good trade? So I'm starting with 15 pips as a scalper. Although really, after 10 pips, my mind and my emotions start breakdancing. But with no further ado, let's go into this trade and understand what prompted this trade, where it came from, and what was the setup. As you can see here in this chart, the 1 minute chart, this is a beautiful, I would say it doesn't get any better than this. This is a beautiful depiction of a market trending back up with higher highs and higher lows. But at that time, when I'm looking at it, and this is for all of us traders, sometimes you get in the market and you don't really know what you're doing. For example, here, higher highs, higher low, but then it reached that one point and then went all the way down to almost close to the previous low. What is it? Why is it doing that? So that in itself is very, very confusing. And you don't know. Is it a retracement? And is it gonna go back plunging down? Or it's just the market being a little skittish, playing with you. Or simply saying, we don't want you to know yet what's gonna happen. But looking at fundamental technical analysis, we can tell on the 30-minute chart, we are still, or we're about to leave, oversold, which prompts you to believe, okay, there might be a nice scalp, but how much? A nice scalp up, but how much would it be? Let's go back to 1 minute. What can we see in the 1 minute? But here, there's something we should also take into consideration. You can tell that price action is almost close to crossing the 50 and 60 SMA. And it's already crossed the middle Bollinger Band, and it's also crossed the 14 SMA. So far, there is a chance that it might go up. and I'm realizing, okay, what should I aim for? 8 pips? Hmm. Now, I'm looking at this from the perspective of the 30-minute chart. Movements on the 30-minute chart, especially even as a scalper, 8 pips is mainly scraps. So my perspective is, okay, I need to see 8 pips up and staying up before thinking I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna get a nice blessing of 25, 30, 50 pips. But then on the 1-minute chart, it's crossed the 14, the 50-60 SMA, and it's going back down. Or is it going back down or engaging in a debilitating sideways movements? I don't know. So what I do until then, and I share that with all the people I trade with, my students and some of my peers, even um, people that I follow, when you are in a state of inactivity and your emotions are running amok, yes, I am aware that when you look at my face trading, it seems placid. Yes, because I have learned to develop, as you will, all of you. You will learn to develop the breathing techniques, the ability to sit and just take it in. So right now, I am sensing that the market is simply going through a sideways movement. And for me, that indicates that unless it breaks a certain support and resistance, unless it breaks a pivot, I am not going to engage myself. Unless it does that, it gives me confirmation that it's about to move somewhere. My role is to simply stay still. Be still, my heart. It is to be still. Okay. And of course, I enjoy going back. I have I have debated doing my analysis at the same time that I'm trading, but then I've come to realize that going back to my trades and analyzing them, trying to understand what was in my mind, and then rereading those is also akin to me studying. I, on top of my trading in the morning, my pre-trade routine is very extensive. I meditate, I work out, I do my affirmations, and I remind myself of the champion I am. I remind myself that I'm loved, that I'm worthy, that I'm great, that I'm the greatest scalper in the world, that someday I will have a firm of Haitian traders bringing Forex trading to Haiti and having people who've gone to school but just don't have a lot of opportunities, giving them the chance to be millionaires. Who knows? My dream of creating 100 Haitian millionaire traders is gonna happen. But then it starts with me. I got a little sidetrack. Just just to mention that when I love drawing support and resistance lines because it distracts me from the tension of the moment. It also distracts me from the inability to make a trade. As scalpers, we love action. We are more Alexander the Great or Shaka Zulus than Lao Tzu or Confucius or even one of the greatest military commanders of all time, even though he was on the wrong side, Rommel, who we all know was called the Lion of the Desert, an amazing strategist, superb strategist. But then, as you can see, with that dashed blue line, the market has crossed that dashed blue line, which means it's telling me that, okay, it's bound to go on a bullish trade. And remember, I had thought about, I tried getting into a trade and I fixed 15 pips reversal stop loss, but for some reason, I don't think I did it quite the way it was supposed to be done. So it didn't allow me. And I thought, you know what? As most American would say, F it. I'm just gonna trade the way Gerard normally trades, visual stop loss. So now I am engaged in that trade. This is the 30-minute chart, and right now going back to the 1-minute chart, I am engaged in it. And for those who are just starting to trade, or those who know how to trade already, two things. First of all, in the 5-minute trade, look at this beautiful candlestick formation. Wow, it's beautiful. Almost a symmetrical candlestick formation with two blue bearish candles or sell candles. In the middle, there's the strict middle, the heart of the candlestick formation. And then, as an entity that abides by the beautiful rules of symmetry, you have two bullish or yellow candlestick formation, creating this beautiful harmonic, symmetrical formation that signals the possibility of a trade. Now, again, that I'm in. So when I'm in, the first thing I do is set my sight on what could be possible end or stops of this trade. Where could this trade end up going? Where could it stop? Where could it reverse? I will admit that this is an activity that yields its advantages, but also plagues you with its drawbacks. As you see where the market can go, it's easy to be blinded by its potential. Look at this. Right now I'm seeing 16 pips. I would love 16 pips. As they say, reminds me of, I don't know, but almost Southern, but not, it doesn't really do a good justice to that Southern accent, but I love myself some 16 pips. I'm really bad at accents. But right now, look at that. I am setting my sight to 10 to 25 pips. Now, look at that. I did say 10 to 25 pips. And this is something I need to understand because that analysis, I've come to realize, isn't that bad. 10 to 25 pips is quite a range. And here, sometimes I enjoy the humor of the moment. Be prepared. Yes. So I'm thinking there's a chance I get 10 to 25 pips. Although 25 pips is really what I want. But this trade so far is going beautifully. 5 pips, 5 pips and 20, 20, 570. It is yielding. This is a beautiful trade. It sprang right from the 50 and 60 SMA and went back up. Ladies and gentlemen, for you to be able to see a trade like this and recognize it and take action, it takes the power of intuition, which in my perspective is nothing less than hours and hours, days, countless, thousands instances of you recognizing, you studying a pattern until the day those thousands of instances become condensed in 1 second of super amazing mental computing. And that in itself is so effective, so swift, so powerful, so magical, so uncanny that it's referred to as intuition. Although there are other conversations about intuition in which parapsychology, psychology, or the unknown, or even Jean Grey, Professor X level, Professor X level telepathy or intuition become something we need to discuss. But now, here's the reason why I draw those lines. In my exit rules, which I promise I will have a video soon about them, that way you can follow me. I prefer, and I desire when support and resistance lines are crossed, that within 2 trades afterwards, if let's say if they're crossed and they retrieve and there's a retracement or there's a reversal, a short reversal, there needs to be at least within one or two candles after, the market needs to go back and break that ceiling. That for me is a realization that only came with my studying, going back to my trades, understanding them, understanding their profile, understanding what makes momentum. When should I exit? Because right now we are at, I'm not sure, 8 pips. That wouldn't be a bad time to trade. Yeah? See, here I am even acknowledging, uh-oh, resistance and support resistance line. I trust. In fact, what I really meant is I demand that price action goes back up. Because this can be a warning or reversal, just like I said. Right now, 5.5. If we, Gerard, if you would, go back to the 1 minute chart, that way we can show our audience whether this strategy holds. But now what I'm really doing is understanding how far can I go. I'm drawing resistance lines. That way, visually, I know that the market can go all the way up there, or where if it hits it, doesn't cross it fully, that it's going to be a reversal. So this is what I'm doing all this time that I'm in the trade, because I need to be proactive. As one of the greatest animated characters, villain character would say, be prepared. So going back to the 1 minute trade, 1 minute chart, this is exactly my perspective. See, it crossed it, returned back, then within 2 more candles, it crossed it. You know what? I should write this down. That's interesting because I don't think I've ever formulated this theory as I don't think I've ever articulated it as well as I am now. So thank you. Thank you, friends. Thank you, students. Thank you, you too, for giving me this opportunity. Now look at that. The market is rewarding us 13 pips. Now, what I should do right now is draw my support resistance line and know if it's hit or if it's touched a support and resistance line. That would be ideal to know this, right? You know, a lot of the times when I go back to my trading, I realize that there's some things that maybe I could do a little better. So for example, when price action experiences that level of momentum, just stay where you are, Gerard. Don't move too much. But right now, my perspective is, it's not really stopped on a support and resistance line. And everything I hold as truth stipulates that it will touch a support and resistance line, then reverse. On the 1 minute trade, I did not see it touch a support and resistance line. In fact, the next support was a little bit further up, 5 and maybe 10 more pips. But I could see 2 to 5 pips and then 10 more pips. So by the time price action got to 12 pips, and here it's at 13 pips, my mind is so convinced that I am going to get 15 pips that I couldn't imagine that this is the end of the line. When really, what I've come to realize is, see, the software, the intelligence of the software identified this as a possible reversal. And right now the market is saying maybe I can. See here, I am even saying, wow, Gerard, that's great. I am even saying that there's a move for 2 or 5 more pips. There's a move. And the fifth, that's just 5 pips. That's that nice green line is what my mind is being set to achieve. Right now we are at 13 pips, 14 pips, 15 pips, 14, 15, 15.5, and then whew, it touches that line and swift reversal. Not yet. So all this is somewhat hinting to me that, you know what, it might continue. It might continue. When really what I have to realize is the previous support and resistance line is a force to be reckoned with. You see that line right underneath the red line is the previous identified high, or from the software, resistance line. And ideally, the trade ends if the market, the price action retrieves or retraces, reverses from that line and doesn't go back within 2 more candles. Now, interestingly, I did realize that the Bollinger Band all of a sudden expanded, which would mean for it to continue, for the system to recognize that there's momentum in that move up, it has to go all the way to the end of the Bollinger Band. But now, by the time I come back here, look at my face. What happened to Placid Gerard? If you could tell, you know, this is the world, this is the discipline that we've chosen. We've chosen to be lovers of pips, lovers of possibility. We've chosen to be servants of the market. And that being said, just like the ancient Greeks who were worshiping very fickle gods, gods that would turn on them after loving them and showering them with gifts. The market is also that. Now, from 16, we're back to 12. And that purple line, in all honesty, should have been my exit. But then there's 2 exit rules that, while I'm talking to you right now, I should make sure to write down. The first one is within a high. If within 2 more candles it's not crossed, then you should exit. Then you have that line that previously identified as pivot, and you can tell it's not there anymore. That star isn't there. It's replaced by the next level high. So right now we have 12 pips, $42. That's not so bad. Yeah, some people can live with $40 a day. And here I see 44. Okay, 13 pips. So here I'm thinking, this is the salvation of my money, because 2 pips, 2 candles after the high, and there's a chance that this candle rises up. There is a chance it does that. But if it doesn't, what should I do, Gerard? What should you do? But if it crosses that first light dotted purple line, what should you do? Then what do you do if it crosses what your mind would have considered as a really hard stop? You know, one of my rules also mentions that the price action has to cross 14 SMA, and then there's a candle that starts right after. If this candle doesn't reverse back, then you should exit. Here, look at that. 14 SMA just went up a little bit, and that price, it's not officially been crossed. There's been a small little bounce, a minute bounce. Now it is crossed. So from that perspective, you can tell from my face, from my face trading that yes, it's 1.5, but I am not happy. I felt let down by the market. Yeah, I did. And there's no real reason for that. The first of all, or as they say, first of, there were three opportunities or three occasions for me to exit this trade. The first one came when it reversed past a previous high. Second, after the two candles where it did not cross, where it did not reverse back and cross and pierce the ceiling that was created. Then after that, there was my hard stop, the really bold dotted line. So from 16 pips to 10 pips to 6 pips, there is disappointment. And you know, it will come to you. You will experience that. But then I invite you to really accept the situation. I invite you to see the market as not something it ought to give you, but really, I invite you to see the market and your trade as this is what it has given, and I'm simply here to receive it. Yes, you catch its movements, you catch the movement of the market, but truly, like I said before, you're simply a page turner to the pianist. You're following it, and when it gets to the end, you turn. And once the song ends, you don't tell the pianist to start back or continue. You end with it. I hope that you really enjoyed this video and that it shows you or give you a sense of how you should manage your emotions on expectations. Traders, I believe you can be two type of trader. The trader who's like the Gerard narrator, dramatic, making expectation, who falls in love and out of love with each trade, who puts his heart to it. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's quite beautiful to be able to sustain the fluctuation of the market as a spurned lover would be brought back by the one person who holds his or her heart. Just like there's a novel by Alexandre Dumas, I believe, called La Dame aux Camélias, which exemplifies that. But then you can also be the Gerard, just like the Gerard on top with a webcam, who placidly studies, analyzes, and with gratitude, well, most of the days, most of the time, with gratitude accepts what the market gives, but diligently gets in and out of his trades. Before leaving, I want to encourage you to think about something that you've learned from this trade. A couple of things, maybe three. Then just pick one and make it your to-do list, your homework, your devoir du jour. And do it make it the one thing until it has become a part of your expression. It has become an expression of your trade. Until it becomes your trade. Habits, they do say take 30 to 90 days, somewhere along this line. But some expert will say that it takes somewhere between 15 to 30 instances of deliberate practice for a new skill, for a resolution, for a mindset, for a new being to fully assert itself in this reality. I believe that you can pick something from my trades and make it the reality, even though this reality might unfold and manifest within a couple of days. But this is indeed the reality of you. It is as alive now as it will be in 3 months. Thank you for watching this video, and support us by giving us a like and also by subscribing to this channel. I really appreciate all of you. You are not only giving me a chance to be more accountable to myself, but also to you who choose to trust me, to follow me. Also give me great criticism. But then, you are also partners with me, with my goals, my 2020 goals. And trust me, they are lofty, they are scary, they are big, and they require not an improvement in Gerard, but they require transformation. And this transformation, my wonderful friends, we will achieve it with just one good trade. Thank you.